A lot of PD and administrators tend to treat educators as if they don't know something. So they go for like the lowest possible, an entry-level educator just who stepped out of college, or maybe even a student teacher. And if you just look on like social media, like TikTok or whatever, you're gonna find a bunch of educators who have recently been posting what their PD experiences are like, where they're kind of talked down to as if like adults can't figure out how to socialize or work on their own. The main point of this is that instead of focusing on like the very basics of here's a transition statement that you can do to get from one lesson to another, we could instead focus on here's how to prevent burnout. Here's how to set appropriate boundaries between work and home life. So instead of focusing on like rote basics of pedagogy that you could learn in a 100 level course, administrators, PD providers, etc. for districts might actually focus on other areas like what do you do to prevent burnout? How do you try and set appropriate boundaries between work and home life? How do you oscillate between high performance in the classroom and recovery outside of the classroom? What strategies do you use to kind of do a mental reset in between classes or lessons? All of these are topics that could be discussed in district level PD, PLCs, etc. But instead, at least from my experiences and what I've seen from other educators, it focuses on other very basic things that, again, you could learn in a 100 level course or by reading like a magazine article about education, because the topics tend to like skim the surface on what you could actually discuss in education, which is one of the reasons why I started this podcast, is to actually dive deeper into literature and talk about what does this mean for educators, rather than just focusing on the same basic stuff that is often shared in like blog posts and whatnot. Nothing against that. There's definitely a space for it. But how do you, as an educator, actually iterate on your abilities over time? Rather than learning a new activity or a new lesson that you can do, what do you do to refine your own teaching practices? This excerpt of the CSK8 podcast was from episode 201, which is titled The Making of an Educator Athlete. You can listen to the full episode as well as hundreds more by searching for the CSK8 podcast on your favorite podcast app or by going to jaredoleary.com.